Dean, it's fascinating to me how much security on our mobile devices has changed just in 20 years or so.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you went from
20. How about just like 5 or 6 years?
Well, you went from mobile devices that had no security.
Zero.
You flipped it open and did what you needed to do on it. Then we had fingerprints. Well, we had passcodes.
Yes. Passcodes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Fingerprint.
Yep.
Now we have facial recognition technology, the old Face ID, which I was a little hesitant about it. Not hesitant, but just I was like, this is for some reason my thumbprint felt like it was a little easier.
Okay.
But I've come to appreciate it, and it works very well, and I like all the apps that I can use it on.
Yep.
There is obviously benefit to it. We were going to talk about this a little in our episode, but like at the airport, I've noticed starting giving some opportunities for that. It's starting to pop up in more places.
Yep.
We're all relatively unique. Facial rec is a good way to ensure that
very unique.
The right person is where they're supposed to be. But it's also a technology that's still a little on the controversial side, and people are still a little unsure about. I imagine in particular our VARs might be unsure if it's something they want to be tied to and go out and sell. So today we have Terry.
Like legally and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So today we have Terry Schulenburg with CyberLink. They're the makers of FaceMe. He's going to help us understand this technology, the controversy, the opportunity for solution providers like yourself, what industries are embracing it, what is the liability for those that sell it, and should you be concerned about that? How does it fit into your current portfolio, or might there be opportunities? And trust me, Terry comes loaded with a lot.
Oh, yes, he does.
Of opportunities. A lot of stuff I hadn't even thought about, but makes complete sense.
Really good ones,
so, good stuff today. Keep you and your customers nice and secure. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Welcome to BlueStar Nation. BlueStar Nation is brought to you by ELO. Dean, everyone loves a self-service kiosk.
Yeah, that's right.
I know I do.
Yes. I mean, who doesn't love a good self-service kiosk?
By this point, most people enjoy them. But when you put one outside,
okay.
Let's say
what?
Ticketing.
We're going outside?
Fueling or charging stations.
Yeah.
Wayfinding, vending, etc.
Yes.
Not just any display is going to hold up out there. and do the job. Right?
Against Mother Nature? No.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Mother Nature is the force that is yet to be tamed.
That's right.
And it is yet to lose. So that's where ELO's outdoor open frame touch screens come in.
Ooh.
These are purpose-built for ease of integration into an outdoor kiosk enclosure.
Very nice.
The 90 series, they offer a brilliant optically bonded weatherproof open frame monitor with edge-to-edge glass, now available in 27 and 10-inch sizes, ambient light sensor, thermal protection, direct sunlight readability, Energy Star 8.0 certified.
Holy.
This display is evident.
It's got everything. There you go.
Everything to operate outdoors. So to learn more and check out spec sheets, visit the link in the show notes or contact your BlueStar ELO representative. All right, our first guest, and only guest today, I should take that back.
First and only, yes.
Is Terry Schulenburg. Terry is the VP of Business Development for CyberLink. Terry, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
Appreciate having you on the show. We had a conversation about facial recognition. It's been 4 or 5 years ago. It might have been during our very first season, I think, of the pod.
Remember when that just came into vogue during COVID?
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes.
So happy to have you here. Tell us a little about yourself, your background. How'd you end up at CyberLink?
Well, I'm very grateful to be here, and I appreciate the time today. I came here through the realm of security. I worked for Genetech. I worked for a number of the security companies, and facial recognition is a really good match with security. And so I came here 5 years ago to head up their sales division, just to come and tell people how to leverage facial recognition and how to bring it into existence with some of these other things. The nice thing about FaceMe and CyberLink is it's not just based on security. We can add facial recognition to any existing products that are out there today, and that's part of the excitement.
Nice. Yep.
Good. Well, then you got the credentials for it, obviously. Especially that history in tech. I mean, that's in security tech. That's a big deal when it comes to this kind of stuff and understanding how
security and technology. Big deal.
Yeah, it's a little important. Those things, those two things should belong together.
A little bit.
So let's talk about facial recognition then, and the security aspect as well. I think it's what we want to cover both of those today.
Yeah.
And obviously, people are used to facial recognition on their consumer devices now. It's
kind of forced into it.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can get an iPhone anymore like without it. I think even the new SE that's coming out is Face ID.
Got to show your face.
It's not the touch anymore.
That's right.
So people are used to it from that perspective. Do you think that has helped with the reception of this technology on a broader sense and in other places, for business applications? Or is there still, I know with last we talked about, there's still some pushback and reticence of people not wanting their face scanned in random places. So where are we now in that market?
Mm-hmm.
Well, your question there was perfect. In random places. See, when we have it on our device, it's easy. It's my personal thing. I use it when I want to. I can shut it off if I want. I'm not forced to use it. I can still type my PIN code in there, but it's available.
Right.
And as Americans, and I say this very, very particular about Americans, we love the convenience factor, but we hate being watched. And so when you're in random places and someone's scanning your face, people are afraid of that. People are afraid that somebody's watching. Where did you go to lunch today? When did you leave the office today? Where did you go over here? When did you take these steps? And that's not happening. That's not what facial recognition is about. But that's our biggest fear. Every movie, every TV show that has presented facial recognition is, we're tracking this person. We saw them come through the bus station. This is where they went next. And they're able to follow them all through. It's all fake. It's all fiction. None of it is real. But that's where we hold on to that. And so as much as we like using it on our device, we're not ready to use it anywhere else. And I'll give you a very, very quick story here. I'm working with ATMs in other parts of the world. Imagine opening your face or opening your ATM account with your face. Seems pretty secure, seems pretty safe. The United States doesn't want to touch it. They're like, what if somebody breaks into that? And how are they going to steal my face and do that? But we are so paranoid because of movies, because of news, because of TV, that we're not quite ready there. And using it on our phone every day is not the same thing.
Definitely. So true. Well, it harkens back to the movie.
Yeah, the Minority Report.
Thank you. Minority Report.
The official film of this podcast.
That's right. I mean, nobody wants to go around and get new eyes. That really freaks people out, like the character did, right?
Yes.
He had to get eye transplants just to fake the system out. And so we hear about other countries, and it's good that you're highlighting the U.S. because we are uniquely anxious, skeptical and anxious about the whole thing, where we'll use it to a certain extent convenience, but dang it, if it has anything to do with watching me, it ain't gonna happen. But I think that the use of the technology has gotten people smarter to the technology, right? Even before COVID, I don't know. When did facial rec started coming onto the iPhones and stuff like that? It was around, but now it's like
it's probably a few years before that time. But
it's like all the time,
right? And again, I don't know that you can get too many modern smartphones that don't have it at this point.
Yeah, but when you combine that with just the ruggedness of the U.S. American experience, and just not wanting to be tracked and stuff like that,
I will spend hours on Facebook giving it all the information in the world, but how dare you know anything about me? That's pretty much what we're talking about here. We draw the weirdest lines in the weirdest places. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like we blur things too, because there's issues with using AI and the biases that come around AI. So, okay, how are you using the information? Why are you using the information? Are you feeding me back something that's that gets into the argument as well. Just a general tech skepticism, I guess, is the word. So, are you misusing my information? Terry, you said it, right? Like, once you scan my face, are you then going to start walking around the world with my face? And it's like, well, no, I don't think that can happen. And maybe we can dive a little bit into the technology because it's been a little while since we refreshed people on this, but you're not actually keeping the face, you're keeping data points that are unique. It's like the thumbprint, if I have that right in my memory. Not to go down a rabbit hole. Does that sound about right, Terry, with your technology?
That's correct. We create a mathematical template. So we grab about 800 points on your face, and we create a mathematical template that's unique to you. It's just a number. That value can never be, you can't take that number and recreate your face from that number. It's a one-way process. So I create that template and I store it. Then I can match that template, but that's only when I enroll people. Then I match that template when you come back again. And then I can say, yeah, I'm 99% sure this is the correct person. This is John. This is Dean. This is who it is. This is Terry. That's how we manage this. Our software is 99.83% accurate because of the way that we're doing this. And so one of the biggest problems with facial recognition, I've been doing facial recognition now for 10 years, was the accuracy. I could take twins and it would say they're the same person. I could take my brother, who's 8 years younger than me and about 6 inches taller than me, and it would say that we're very, very similar, and so we're probably the same person. That doesn't occur anymore. We've trained our software. We've created a mechanism in place where it's going to recognize you and only you. And NIST does the ratings, 99.83%, top-rated facial recognition engine on the planet. And they do this rating every year, and we just continue to get better at it. So we'll never be 100%. Just like if I brought two twins to you and say, hey, can you tell the difference between Mark and Bob? Unless you know the intricacies and the differences, there's a good chance you will get it wrong. Yeah. So the same kind of thing happens with software, where we will never be 100%, but we're in the very, very high 90s right now.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, totally. You are absolutely right that I feel like the pop culture of it all is what has made this technology so hard for people to understand and accept and deal with. You know, I was just watching a movie over the weekend where there was a character that every time he stepped out of a building in a new city or out of a bus or something, immediately there was a camera somewhere nearby that caught his face, and the government people that were looking for him or whatever were getting the notification and sending the troops in immediately. And I'm like, I know this isn't realistic, but again, it's what you see on so many like spy shows and police dramas and law enforcement stuff. It's a constant element that just we're not even talking the science fiction stuff. Like, it's not even considered as part of science fiction anymore. It's treated as almost as if it's just a thing that actually happens. And then, like you said, you layer on top of that, Terry, the idea that people somehow still have it in their mind that their face can be faked. Like, everyone's just running around with those Mission Impossible's fake face devices and just making the mask and sticking it on and immediately turning into that person. Again, it's the bulk of that is science fiction and does not match the reality of what we're trying to do here, right?
You're 100% correct. The other part of that you have to take into account is you look at the crime shows on TV. So the crime shows on TV really, really twist this. So what they will do is, I caught a reflection off the back of that bumper and off of there, and I ran facial recognition against it. All right. Imagine I give you that image and have your eyes try to figure out who that is. If you don't have a clear image, you are never going to be able to match it. I don't care how good that reflection is off of somebody's sunglasses. You can't match a face that way. That's just not the way that it works. Facial recognition works best when people want to be part of something. I want to open up my bank account. I use my phone. I open up my bank account. No problem. I show my face. If I hide my face in any way, shape, or form, if I just scratch my head like this, facial recognition can't work. If I put on a big pair of sunglasses, or maybe put on a larger mask, or pull my hat down a little bit, facial recognition is not going to work. So getting a reflection off of somebody's sunglasses and doing facial recognition is the part that just throws everything out the window, because it's 100% fiction. If I don't have a clear image, I cannot do a good match.
You know, and I think about it, and let's go down. Let me ask you a question real quick, Terry, as it relates to maybe some of the legal concerns. So let's say you have an entity that's gets through the barriers of, okay, so we'll use facial rec, and you know the biases won't be there, blah blah blah, all the things we're okay with. Then you run into legal issues. You know, can you comment on where we are with like legal? Because I was doing a little bit of reading, and you know, it sounds like the Department of Homeland Security has some guidelines that they put out around implementing, you know, and what you should and shouldn't do. Then it sounds like some states are now getting involved, or they have some state level regulations, you know, as it relates to facial recognition. Well, what's your comment there? Are we getting through that stuff, or is it starting to be a little bit more of an annoyance as far as, you know, having to deal with it, just in general?
Well, having some rules would be great. We don't have any rules right now. We have some guidelines.
Yeah.
Illinois created the first laws around facial recognition, about biometric scanning. They did this about 6 or 7 years ago, and they had the strictest laws. If you were going to save my information, if you were going to biometrically scan my face and save my information, I had to give them written consent.
Okay.
And if I didn't give you written consent and you store that, I could sue you. So this is where we had a lot of retail establishments putting in facial recognition to try to find shoplifters, but they were scanning every face and they were storing it. And people were taking people to court, and people were losing lawsuits and all kinds of crazy stuff. Last year, Illinois changed their law. They said, you know what? It's really hurting us to have this law so strict. In Illinois now, I can biometrically scan your face as long as I don't save your face. So this is what the airports are doing. When you go to the airport counter and you hand them your driver's license, first thing it's doing is it's validating that your driver's license is legit. It's comparing the information on the front to the barcode on the back, and then it's comparing it to your face. Two-factor authentication. It's doing all of this verification in a matter of seconds, saying, yep, that's Terry. He's safe. He can go through. That is valuable, and then that information is destroyed. What we're seeing across our country right now, there's 11 states left that have some of the strictest laws, but all of them are changing them to the same way, saying, listen, we see so much value in facial recognition. We see when it's used properly how valuable it can be, how life-changing it can be. We are going to relax some of these laws to make it much more applicable. You have not seen a suit in the last 2 years with facial recognition because of these things changing, because people are starting to take advantage and say, listen, we're not saving your data. All we're doing is verifying it's you. When you get to work in the morning, we verify that it's Terry. We open the door for you, Terry, and then your data's gone. If we have a guest that comes to that same door and we scan their face and it says they're a stranger, we're not opening the door, we don't save that data. That data's gone and there's nothing left to worry about. By doing that, we follow the letter of the law. We follow all of the rules, the strictest rules in our country, and we're protecting the people through that process.
See, that's good insight right there. Yep,
definitely.
it help us get through that, that perceived barrier.
Those mental hurdles. To conquer there.
Yeah.
So Terry, you mentioned the airports, and that is one of the places where I've noticed facial recognition starting to pop up in the way you described it. But are there other industries that you feel like are starting to realize the value of the technology? And if so, why? What kind of trends are you seeing out there in the market right now? Who's actually talking to you and saying, we see some valuable use cases here?
It's unbelievable. Just to give you a sense, I've been doing this with CyberLink for 5 years. I've been doing facial recognition for over 10. It has always been, please don't tell anybody we're doing this. Please keep this a secret. We're going to put this in place. Right now, I am equipping courthouses with facial recognition systems because there are lawyers, there are judges, there are workers that need to be there, but there are bad actors. There are people that want to intimidate, that want to cause harm, that shouldn't be there. And they're using these systems in place to say, if you belong here, come on in. We're going to make life easy for you. If you don't belong here, alarms are going to go off right away. So we're seeing this in law enforcement, in the courthouses. We're seeing this in nursing homes and retirement villages, where there's people with dementia that shouldn't be wandering out by themselves. And so they're putting them in buildings, and as people leave the facility, they're recording. Oh, Terry just left. That's okay, no problem. Wait, Martha just left. She has dementia. She's not supposed to be going anywhere. We're going to send an alert and get people out there to help her right back before she gets lost. We're starting to see this play out in hotels. Marriott's going to be rolling this out later this year in their hotels to allow you to check in with your face. We've had it on the phone. I could check in on my app and check in the day before and show up and use my phone. But if I walk into the hotel, walk up to the kiosk, it'll recognize my face. 18 seconds later, I have my keys, and I don't have to worry about using my phone and trying to use my phone every time I go to the door. They're going to be putting it on the doors eventually, so only you are going to be able to get into your door without carrying a key. So some of these technologies, we're just starting to see people say, wait, this is useful. People want to take advantage of it for these reasons. I can go down. Time clocks are a big deal. Um, where people are punching in and checking in. I have picking fields in Peru right now. They've created a doorway that they've set up in the field, and everybody comes to work and goes through the doorway. They check in with their face, because if what they want to make sure is the right people are checking in, because sometimes dad might be sick at home. He might send his son to go do the work for him today because he can't be there, but they need the money. But the son can't work. He's not legally able to work. And so he'll show up and he'll get a red light, and he won't get to check in for his father. But his father now can check in, and they can check in 1,000 people in a matter of seconds, where with a punch clock or any other device where I'm waving cards, it takes them 10 or 15 minutes to get everybody checked in. We're seeing this at automobile factories and things like this. All of them are using this time clock feature now with using facial recognition. There's no buddy punching. Hey, listen, John, I'm going to be a little late. Can you punch my card for me? I'll be there in a few extra minutes. It costs companies millions and millions of dollars by buddy punching. This is not occurring anymore using facial recognition. So there's a lot of situations right now that we're seeing in the hospital fields. We're seeing this in businesses, law firms, things like this, where they're really trying to secure their facility and let you know when people are there and when they're not there. And then one last one I'll tell you about. We're doing this in a number of oil refineries right now. It's called mustering. When an emergency happens, if a fire were to happen or something were to happen at an oil refinery, people have to evacuate. They have to get out of the facility as quick as possible. They have no idea who is in the building to know if everybody's out of the building. Well, with facial recognition, I'm capturing people as they go to work. I'm capturing as they leave. And then I can go out into the parking lot and just scan all the faces and say who's missing. And in a matter of seconds, I can know who still might be in the building. So these are some things that we're starting to see really erupt right now, and the business is very, very booming.
Yeah. I mean, it's the balance between a want and desire to have a frictionless life, right? It's like, I love going to the airport now. I've been on several flights where I just scan myself in. I mean, at the gate. Like, I don't even need to show. My phone seems old at this point. Oh, you got a cute little boarding pass. That's so cute. You know,
how quaint.
Yeah, how quaint.
Fine, yeah.
Oh, no, as opposed to just scan. Now, I will tell you, though, it's taking society a little bit to get used to that, because, you know, the gate attendants are like, no, stand at the line. No, sir. No, you back off. We're only scanning one face at a time.
Right.
Anyway, we'll get it down here eventually. But seriously, I mean, the whole... We love frictionless lives, you know, like I can do so much of this on my phone. To your point, Terry, like I can scan my face and access my Marriott, you know, app today, but I can't do that at the
like
at the
replacing
hotel.
passwords. I love that too.
Replacing
like logging
passwords.
to apps. I don't have to go figure out what my password is anymore. I can just, my face will log me into stuff. I love that.
Yeah. So I can definitely see that running a lot farther, but it's interesting that you went down the path of like clocking in and clocking. Man, I can see some unions not liking this technology at all and being, you know, the buddy, what'd you call it? The buddy punch where, you know.
Buddy punching.
Yeah, buddy punching. Just clock me in, Ralph. Okay, yeah.
Right.
No problem. Can't do that anymore. It's kind of like when you're setting up your phone for one of your kids or something like that, and it's their face that they recognize. Hey, I need to borrow your face for a second. Would you look at your phone real quick? You can't do that at the clock.
That's where you just set up your face as an alternate one to make sure that you have access to.
But they're really good use cases. I mean, like the healthcare one, those are brilliant, right? In the use to be able to do that.
Yep.
The one you just said at the end, the mustering. It's fascinating to think of all these little use cases that you indeed could use facial recognition to make things faster, more efficient, and more frictionless. Right?
And I think at the end of the day, that's hopefully where people will start understanding the value of the technology and stop worrying about all the big brothery. How can this go wrong?
Right.
You know, what the movies have taught us about this stuff.
Yeah.
There's practical applications that makes sense. And not even like again, the airport one is fine, you know, the airport security. That I think is probably for a lot of folks still feels weird and big brothery in a way, because it's like, oh, you're scanning my face because you want to make sure, you want to know where I'm at and where I'm going or whatever. I'm sure is what some people are thinking. But when it comes down to when it's stuff like, hey, this is a way to make sure you can log into your bank account, or this is a safe and effective way to make sure that you are the right person that is being treated and given a certain drug at the hospital or whatever. Stuff like that, I think, is going to hopefully help people start realizing, like, oh, there is a value to this beyond what there used to be out there, where now my face can be the way that I unlock things and guarantee that they are seeing the right person and giving me the right thing, or or the right people have access to the right places.
You know, it's interesting, Terry. I mean, I think your point needs to be brought home even more in the fact that you don't keep the information, right?
Yep.
So you're doing the validation on the facial rec, but then that information goes away. I think what people are thinking about is, well, like when I'm on the web, I have a cookie crumble. You know, there's you know, big data can see where I've been, what I like,
everything
there's a trail,
you do
all that kind of good
everywhere
stuff.
else.
And so now they're selling my data somewhere. But your point is, we're not selling this data. You know, we're doing the offset, the facial recognition, the data goes away. It's not being sold somewhere, things like that. Do I have it right? You know, that's part of it.
That's the ideal situation.
Yeah, right.
It can be. I can collect this data. So
Sure.
I've worked with retailers that want to know who's coming to their store and who's leaving. Are they leaving happy, sad, all of this other thing? I can collect and say, listen, I know that 50, 40-year-old women came here at this time of the day. I don't know who you are. I just know
It's
that
not
you're
PII. It's not personally identifiable, but it's yeah. Right.
So there's some information that people are still interested in collecting.
Oh, sure.
But we're not collecting information about you.
Yeah.
And I don't know who you are. I don't know, anything about, the car you drove in on or any of that. All I know is that you came to my store between this time and this time. And we're starting to see more and more of those types of utilities versus just counting. I had 4 people come into the store today and 4 people left my store today. This is a little more accurate data and some data that can be very useful to the retailers.
Oh, for sure, especially in retail, and matching that in some analytics that are back of house. Oh, this demographic is responding this way to this information. That's like gold. Yeah, for retailers.
Yeah, definitely.
It is.
Yeah,
definitely. It is. And one last thing before we get off of this topic. One of the things that we're doing more of, and I'm working with banks on this, is they're concerned about a robbery. And when a robbery occurs, they know that it's typically 2 to 3 weeks of surveillance, of casing a joint before they figure out if I'm actually going to try to pull this off. And now, using facial recognition, I can recognize if a certain person's been back multiple times throughout. I don't know who this person is. I just know that this face has showed up on these cameras multiple times over this period of time. I can alert the security staff to say, hey, you might want to pay attention for this person because they're doing something that's out of the norm. They're doing something that is not normal, and you might want to pay attention to this. And so those are the types of things that it's still a little sketchy. Are we tracking data? Are we? We're not. We're just holding on to that data for a certain period of time, 7 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, and then we're releasing it. But we're holding that data, not having any idea who you are, but just to make sure that you are not going to be causing any trouble later on down the line.
Right. So we've touched on this aspect of liability and legal ramifications. Let's dig a little further into that, because I do think that maybe VARs and other solution providers, they're a little hesitant about offering this stuff up or incorporating this into their tech stack because they're unsure about what their liability is.
Ooh,
like if
point.
I go out and sell this stuff to somebody and there's a problem and there's a lawsuit or someone complains and says their personal rights were violated in some way.
Now you're complicit.
Yeah, does that blow? Am I part of the lawsuit too? Does that blow back on me? So let's talk about that, Terry. How do you at CyberLink? How does FaceMe? How do you address that to make these solution providers a little more comfortable selling these solutions and also convincing their end businesses and then eventually the actual public that what we're doing is safe and secure? How do we bring all that together so that everyone feels good about this?
I wish I had a good answer for you on that one. It's been an interesting process because I have a number of VARs that would love to do this. They have gone through it. They think that it's a great solution. They think they could sell it, but their legal teams are saying, stay away. So it's the lawyers right now that are the toughest to convince. And it's not because of the solution. It's because of the perception of the solution. And so even if I'm throwing the data away, even if I'm not storing anything, they're still hesitant.
Right.
And I think that's only because we've seen enough legal action and legal pursuit with identification. We're going to still see that hesitancy, but more and more the customers are saying, no, we are ready to embrace this. I'm going to find a solution. Will you sell it to me, or do I have to go to your competitor? And that's when the companies step up and say, okay, let's really look more closely at this and see if there's a way around this. In the retail environment, it's still pretty cautious. I've worked with some of the largest retailers, and they're very, very skeptical. They're very squeamish about using facial recognition, because if they were to accuse somebody based on something that they saw, now they have to come forward and admit they're using facial recognition.
Right.
A lot of states right now, as long as I have it published on the front door, hey, we are using facial recognition in this facility. If you enter, you give consent. In 37 states, that's legal. That is legal enough. Every casino in Las Vegas has that sign on the front door. You go into Nevada, any store, you walk in, you will see the sign, hey, we are using facial recognition. If you come in here, you are giving consent. So that consent, once consent is given, there's no legal battle. There's nothing that they can come back and do. It's the 11 or 12 states still left that say that's not enough. We need some sort of acknowledgement that you're using facial recognition, and I accept it. I'm going to sign something. I'm going to click something. I'm going to do something somewhere else. All of your online accounts now have gone to two-factor authentication. I type in a password, I hit the button that says, okay, I just texted you a code. What code did I text you? I want to make sure it's you. The same kind of thing is happening in the security space. So if we're setting this up properly, and we're doing this in all of these facilities, and there's a number of different verticals that I work with BlueStar with. You talk about digital signage and point of sale, things like this. Point of sale is going to be your next big thing. You can go to just about any European country, any Asian companies. I can take you all through South America, Venezuela. They're all using digital payment with face because it's a really great way to do it, but they do it in a very smart way. There's a tool called Simpello. BlueStar has highlighted Ben's solution in the past. Simpello is a great solution because what happens is I keep my face information with me on my phone. And when I pay, it grabs the information from my phone and it compares my face and says, okay, that's really Terry. I can charge his card. By doing it that way, MasterCard doesn't want a face database. Visa does not want a face database somewhere that it's comparing it to. The database would be enormous. The security risks would be enormous. The cybersecurity risks would be enormous. They don't want to touch that. So they're looking for ways to be able to position this so that I can use this in a one-to-one environment instead of a one-to-many environment. And as we start to see some of those solutions come out, it becomes more valuable to the end user and to the customer.
Yeah, that Simpello is a pretty unique offering, right? Your facial stuff, I guess, it's part of your phone. You carry your information with you, correct? Right. That's the way
correct.
That goes.
You carry it in your wallet.
Yeah.
And then there's a Bluetooth reader that you're working with that reads that and compares your face to that picture and says, it must be Terry because he just has the phone and he has the face.
Yeah. But all the storage is happening on your own device, where, again, most people are typically pretty comfortable with that stuff living. So good stuff.
Well, leave it to the lawyers to mess things up. No, I'm kidding.
I get it. I mean, I understand
that
this is a sticky issue for a lot of folks. And it's, as Terry mentioned, it's a very uniquely American thing, too, that we're very hostile about anything that we think we're being recorded or, tracked or watched in some way. And, it's hard to balance that out, even when there are great practical solutions where it makes sense. And again, I think maybe once a few of those finally start taking off and people start understanding the value of it, maybe it'll open a few more doors and get you where
to me, it's the security that's kind of trumping all the worries, right? At the end of the road, even I think personally, I would like to be as secure as I possibly can with convenience.
Yeah.
And apparently my face is a pretty good way of doing that. You're right.
It's yours and yours alone. So,
yeah. So I think that's why that's winning the day a little bit more, is that, well, I mean, who hasn't been involved in some type of hack? We all have.
Oh, yeah.
And so the more that the authentication happens, and Terry, to your point, not just sending you a text message, but using facial recognition as the second point of authentication, correct?
Yes,
becoming
absolutely.
way more standard, or at least a way to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm in.
There you go.
Yeah, and in the security in the security space, it's so apparent. I mean, it's so easy it's an easy sell. So I'll tell you a quick story. I'm doing the girls' dorms on a couple college campuses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, girls' dorms typically are a card reader, a badge, they can get into the dorm.
Mm-hmm.
More assaults happen in a girls' dorm because a male gets their hand on that card.
Yep.
And he's now able to get into the girls' dorm and go door to door and see what trouble he can get into.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by doing two-factor authentication at the door, the female now swipes the card, shows her face, and it says, "Oh, you belong in this dorm. I'm going to now open the door for you."
Mm-hmm.
By doing that, now we have a fixed population. We know who's getting in there. Dads all around the country are saying, "Sign me up for that. I want to make sure my daughter is going to be safe when she's on your campus."
That's right.
So when you talk about security trumping things, it's not about watching. I mean, I was already watching. I knew every time she swiped her card.
That's right.
But now I know it's her.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know that only she's getting in, not somebody that has stolen her card or borrowed her card.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really good. Good use case. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, in a moment, Terry's going to tell us a little bit more about how you should be fitting these kind of facial recognition solutions into your portfolio and how him and the CyberLink team can help you win some of that business. But first of all, let's check into what's going on around BlueStar Nation. We got the next up in our webinar series coming up soon. Chris Brown of TSC Auto ID. He's also been on the podcast in the past.
He has. Yes.
He's going to be discussing selecting the right RFID encoding scheme for your customers' needs. What are the 4 key benefits of proper encoding? What is rain flooding and acid rain in RFID?
Oh, nice.
I just think that's cool terms. I want to know what that is.
Chris knows exactly what he's talking about.
He is. And I think I've pointed this out before, that when he does one of these webinars,
I would go just to listen to him.
They are some of the most popular, well-attended, and
because that man knows what he's talking about.
Most engaged webinars of any of them that I do with our partners.
Yeah. Industry.
People are just very
Industry
interested
guru.
in what he has to say about it. So all those questions and more are going to be answered. This webinar is going to air live on April 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern, but registration is open now. Now, if you click the link in the show notes, if it's not happened yet, you'll have the opportunity to register. If it's already happened, you'll find a link to watch the recording.
There you go.
instead.
That's right.
So either way, you will not miss out on this good information there. Hey, and while you're at it, while you're clicking and registering and doing all that kind of stuff, take a moment to hit a like button if you're watching us on YouTube.
Even, yes.
Subscribe to our channel, follow our podcast, leave us a rating or review. Hit that share button and share it with somebody.
Heck
hey,
why not?
This is an interesting conversation these guys just had about facial recognition. What do you think?
Just
do that kind of stuff.
Spread the love.
Helps
there
us
it
out.
is. Absolutely.
Check out our BlueStar Nation blog. We're always doing great content over there, great end user surveys. Submit your ideas for the show. We always want to hear from you and of what you want to hear about, who you want to hear from on the program. Of course, you can find us at any time on BlueStar's various socials, Facebook, LinkedIn, or email us nation@bluestarinc.com. All right, let's wrap things up with a little VAR value. Like I said, Terry, I think there's some folks that are a little bit hesitant about this, and maybe their legal departments are shutting them down. But for those maybe that do get the green light, they want to move ahead and they're interested in doing this, how does this fit into the solution set that most VARs and MSPs and these folks are already dealing with? Maybe they're selling digital signage, ADC, POS, networking solutions, the stuff they're already good at. How does facial recognition fit with what they're already doing? And then more importantly, when they find an opportunity or think there's one, how are you and your team going to help them go out there and win some business?
What a question. All right. So the way that this works is if your VARs have a product that they have created and they want to personalize that product, they want to know who's using it. They want to be able to create a credential and be able to secure that product. They could do that very quickly with using facial recognition. We have an SDK that they can compile right in with their code. It takes about 1 to 2 weeks to add it to whatever existing application that they have, and now I've added facial recognition. In the digital signage space, I'm working with a number of digital signage companies right now where they're using face for some really good things. One, for trafficking. Any type of missing children, we're able to, if they're strolling through a convenience store trying to get some snacks or something, and there's a digital sign there with a camera on it, we're scanning those faces. We're alerting authorities. Wait, we just found this girl that's been missing for a couple of days, and she's at this location. We're also providing that face data. Hey, this is a male. He's 50 years old. He just walked in the store. You might want to show him a beer ad. This is a young woman that just walked in the store with 3 kids. You might want to show her some specials that you have going on with diapers or with this or with that. So there's a lot that facial recognition can give right away. We're not storing any data. I don't know who these people are. All we're doing is we're giving you some valid data. And then anytime you enroll a person, and this is what we're doing with the lost children or the missing children or the trafficked children, is we're enrolling their faces. Once we enroll them, I can match them. I have a database to match them against, and I could take that data and say, if I find this face, send me an alert. Mm-hmm. We're doing the same thing with time clocks. We're doing the same thing with point of sale. More and more businesses are doing point of sale. And they're doing point of sale because people want to be able to just stream. I go to this store every day and pick up my coffee. Why do I have to pull out my credit card every single time? Or why do I have to pay first and then come pick it up and then use? I just want to be able to walk into the store and grab my stuff, and mm-hmm. they can't. Mm-hmm. And so we're starting to see more and more of this work. And we're working on the Zebra devices. We're working on all the devices that you guys carry. And it works really, really well on those devices right out of the box.
That is good stuff. I mean, the integrations there. I don't really. I mean, we've how many opportunities do we talk about today? It's like almost every industry you can think of. There's an opportunity and a great partner in CyberLink to get you there.
If I put my sales hat on, I would just think to myself, hey, if I'm going out and talking mm-hmm. about solutions, talking about
security,
putting together something, I'm asking questions about mm-hmm. security. Mm-hmm. At some point along the way, I mean, I think it would be a bad idea to just ask a question like, hey, have you given any thought to how you're going to validate somebody using this or ensure that only the right people are using this application, mm-hmm. making things a little bit more streamlined and faster? Have you thought about facial recognition? Mm-hmm. And then if they're like, oh, I don't know about that, then reach out to Terry and his team and they'll help explain why, or maybe just direct them to this podcast and be like, listen, seriously, this is good stuff. You guys are going to want to do this in your business as well. So mm-hmm. good. Like to hear that. Yeah. As always, there's going to be a link to CyberLink, the FaceMe product, in our show notes. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Terry and his team if you have an interest in getting involved in these products. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. Ask your BlueStar account manager. Mm-hmm. We'll put you in touch with them and help you work on a solution as well.
Yep, so for sure.
All right, let's wrap things up as always with our favorite segment, What's on Your Radar?
Yes.
This is where we talk about anything in the world of tech, innovation, science, business, entertainment, just
or otherwise.
Something we feel like chatting about today. So, Terry, what's on your radar right now?
Well, for me, it's AI. AI is really interesting. I was just watching, all of the stuff going on in Hollywood and how AI is taking over. I saw that there's going to be another Fast and Furious movie, and they're bringing back people that are no longer around to be in this movie. And it's pretty incredible how they're doing this. Mm-hmm. And people ask me every day, well, how does AI and facial recognition fit? Is there a good match for that? And we're starting to see some of that. We're starting to see some really cool opportunities where our cameras can watch. Our cameras can not just record video, not just surveil, but they can actually watch. They can watch for things that are going on and watch for people and where they're going and what they're doing. And it's really happening a lot right now when we're talking about, with all the layoffs that are going on in our government, but even layoffs at businesses. People don't want to lose their job. So they'll show up the next day, and even though they've been fired, and they want to go to work and they want to go sit down at their desk. And using facial recognition, we can alert security, we can alert staff saying, listen, this person's not supposed, person is no longer on staff here. You need to get them out as quick as possible. And so we're starting to see the value of AI. We're starting to see the value of some of these things come into play, so that it's no longer just a camera they're recording and sitting on a wall, but we're starting to see some of that value. And I'm starting to see this all across the board as we look at, as we just look at our world and all of the places that people are showing up. They're taking the wrong seats on airplanes. We're not doing this in airplanes yet, though, but people are taking the wrong seats on airplanes and trying to get people to move, and all of these things that people are saying, wait, that's wrong. Let's get this right, and let's do this the right way. And there's going to be some ways to prevent some of this as we move forward.
Interesting. We've talked about how AI is getting much more practical now.
Oh yeah,
right. Less pie in the sky,
right,
more practical applications of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know that we need
Get
another
your
Fast and
agent
Furious
today.
movie, but whatever,
Yeah, I don't either. But it was really interesting to see the characters that they're bringing back, and I like. That'll be cool to remember them, but it'll be interesting to see what AI does with that and how well it's done.
Kind of crazy. A
little bit. What's on your radar, Dean?
Well, I'm going to stay in the security realm.
Okay.
Just when you think that you're looking for something to worry about, by the way.
I mean,
I'll just add on to
I've already got several
pile
but
of worries.
You might as well.
Just when you think you've got security down, you've got your LifeLock in place, you got your Norton antivirus running on your computer, you got your VPN that you're using. Have you ever heard of the chip ESP32 microchip? Probably not.
Is this a Bluetooth one? That's
look at you!
I just saw
I
just saw a headline about this today, but I have not read the article yet. It's one I was like, oh god, I got to look at this later.
Security researchers
find out what's
uncovered
wrong with Bluetooth.
A back door into the Chinese-made ESP32 microchips, which, by the way, are in about 1 billion devices worldwide. So there's your headline. That's why this is such an issue. The chip contains previously undocumented commands that can be used for attacks. So, like I said, just when you think you got everything down, oh no, there's a little itty bitty chip on on the antenna. I don't know where it is, the chipset, but yes, it's through Bluetooth or NFC. I'm sorry, that type of communication. But apparently, they found that there are 29 undocumented commands. So you can activate these commands to either redirect the signal somewhere else or do something with it. But the context here is that you've got all these IoT devices out there that use this chipset, all relatively compromised, I guess, at this point. And they need a massive upgrade to get it out there, because again, now you're at the chip level at the Bluetooth device. Right. So it's before it even gets to
and we all just have to take our devices back and get a chip swapped out.
So there you go.
Yeah, good luck.
Exactly.
I realize there's a threat. There's an attack threat called an APT, which is an advanced persistent threat. That's when somebody's just sitting around sniffing the information as it's going by, type of a thing, right? They're just patiently waiting for information to go through, evaluating the information, and then maybe attacking you when they get it to a certain point. So anyway, just something new for you to worry about there.
Yeah,
but it's interesting that it made it into your world. You saw the headline.
I saw a headline today, and I had yet to click on the article to read it. I was one of those like, well, I'll save that for later and find something else new to have a nightmare about. I mean, are we just reaching a point where where just the idea of security is kind of a joke?
Kind of,
especially if you're going to be on any sort of grid of anything. If you're going to participate or touch technology in any way, you just have to assume there's a level of insecurity that is just inherent in that at this point.
Right. Yeah.
Terry would probably beg to differ. He's like, well, isn't that my whole job is to make sure that that's not the case?
No, I don't differ with you, because I've been a computer programmer for almost 50 years, and knowing what I know about the behind the scenes side, I look at it and say, of course. I mean, to put a back door in those things is
not hard,
and, what's the problem?
Yeah.
The issue is, and that's why all of your accounts are going to multi-factors, because with multi-factors, you eliminate the opportunity of it going to one place, because now I'm going to verify and guarantee that you are who you are. So anytime you're logging in, so what? You steal my password, big deal.
Yeah, right.
You don't have my face.
That's right.
I'm doing all the airports in South America, and for years they were using card and PIN. Well, we all know how difficult it is to steal somebody's card and steal their PIN number. Well, they said, for a secure area, that's not good enough. We're doing multi-factor authentication using face. So we're starting to see more and more of that come into play, but that's why your bank accounts are all now multi-factor authentication.
Right. Oh, for sure.
I could clone your phone and I can get onto your account, piece of cake, but I can't do it without you knowing it now.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to start to see that and to be able to leverage that.
Yeah.
But we're going to be relying more and more on our phones to be able to protect us.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Nothing. This doesn't happen to me a lot, but nothing makes me more nervous than when I get that random text or an email like, "Here's your code for XYZ." I'm like, I didn't ask for this.
Yeah, really.
And I realize that's actually
spam.
That's the authentication doing its job.
Oh, yes.
Keeping someone from being able to log in as me somewhere. Yeah, you're right. Or sometimes it's spam. But when you get the legitimate one, that's like that's when you realize like, okay, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It still terrifies me because that means someone's actively trying to get into my account.
Yes.
But at least I know from my point of view, at least, well, they don't have this thing that was sent to me. At least I hope they somehow don't. So
Thwarted. So anyway, what's on your radar?
All right,
so hopefully something a little bit rosier than that.
I wouldn't say rosier necessarily, but not security related at least. So we all know that healthcare is more or less a business here in America, for better or for worse.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of money inherent.
It's pretty big business.
There.
It's the biggest business,
right.
I think.
And a lot of folks also wonder sometimes when they go to their doctor, like, well, why did, this person recommend that treatment for me or that particular drug or that device? Is there something maybe backing it up? Is there, a drug company that's kind of
besides
pushing
big
this?
medicine and all the conspiracies there?
Well, apparently there is information to find this out, actually.
Oh.
So there is a website. It's called Open Payments Data. It's openpaymentsdata.cms.gov. I'll put the link in the show notes. This is a government-maintained database where basically anytime that a drug company, a medical device company shows up at a doctor's office and gives them anything, it gets documented, and you can go look it up on this website and find out just how much money has been paid towards them. That even includes, because I know this is popular in doctor's offices, where a drug rep will show up and buy lunch, potentially for the doctor. Even that kind of stuff is in there. So for example, I looked up my regular doctor. I've been going to the same doctor for 20 plus years now. I checked him out. I'm like, all right, I'm just curious to see what, my good old doctor is, who's paying him. I was pleased to see that they keep 7 years worth of data. Only a combined 11,000 total contributions had been made to him by various companies. I don't think any of them were more than like $180 max. And it was almost exclusively just food and beverage. Like they would show up and buy him lunch, buy the staff lunch. I remember my wife told me she actually used to work for the same doctor I go to once upon a time in his office as an admin. And she said basically they never bothered to pack or expect to have to buy lunch because almost every day a drug rep was showing up and delivering lunch for the staff and for the doctors, to consume. So it was a given thing. So good way to get to check and find out like who, if there's a particular company that maybe your doctor might be a little more invested in because they're kind of giving them a lot of, dough and free meals and trips and education and stuff. It's just a useful little thing to let you check in.
Interesting.
Check in and see what's going on.
Yes. So you maybe even cross-reference, like, meaning like, my doctor seems to be getting a lot of visits from X.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or you name the company, and then, suddenly I've got a prescription from that.
Well, and I would have to think this is somewhat in response to like the whole Purdue, debacle and the opioid epidemic or whatever, where we know they were sending reps out and routinely were,
it's a
just short of calling it an actual bribe, ensuring that medical practitioners were very heavily favoring their products. This is a nice way to get a little insight into where that potentially could be.
I think a lot of that's going to come under scrutiny here all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I mean, that industry is... Whoosh. Anyway.
Exactly. So there you go. A little bit of transparency out there in the world. I like it. About something that people might feel there's not a lot of transparency.
Very good.
All right. Hey, that does it for us today. That's what's on our radar. Terry Schulenburg, CyberLink, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Terry.
Appreciated having you on the show. It is time for us to wrap up for the day. We'll see you out there in the nation. And hey, if you don't mind, just take a quick moment, look into the camera on your phone or your computer. We're just going to snap a quick picture. I promise nothing bad's going to happen. We just want want to make sure that you are the person that should be watching this podcast. Thanks, everyone, for joining BlueStar Nation.